The very beginning days of the pandemic, my sleep started to tank again. And I was very worried. I did not want to go down that insomnia spiral once again. On one hand, we have children at home that we're responsible for. We have a busy, demanding job. We also may have aging parents. All of those competing demands create this sort of stage that's ripe for more stress and anxiety. My new boyfriend at the time, he said to me in a very loving way, when you take these pills, you kind of act like a zombie, and it freaks me out a little bit. So that was like, whoa, a wake-up call. I did what I don't recommend other people doing if they're on any medication. I went, I guess, quote, rogue, and decided to taper myself back.
In today's episode, we're joined by Morgan Adams, a holistic sleep coach dedicated to helping women overcome sleepless nights without relying on medications. Drawing from her own decade-long struggle with insomnia, Morgan has developed a powerful sleep toolkit that enhances sleep quality and fosters a healthier relationship with rest. As a two-time breast cancer survivor, Morgan is a strong advocate for holistic well-being and disease prevention. Her expertise goes beyond just improving sleep, addressing various aspects of a healthier, more fulfilling life. Join us as we dive into Morgan's journey and her approach to achieving better sleep and overall wellness. Hi, Morgan. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Anisha. I appreciate you inviting me on.
To start, can you tell us a bit about your personal journey with insomnia and how it led you to become a holistic sleep coach?
Absolutely. So I had a long bout with insomnia close to 20 years ago, and I had what is called sleep onset insomnia. That's basically a fancy way of saying I had trouble falling asleep in the beginning of the night. So I would lie awake for 1 to 2 hours most nights, tossing and turning. It got very frustrating after some period of time. I guess it was about 2 months into it, I decided to visit my primary care doctor, and he prescribed Ambien, which is a very popular sleep medication. And it worked as advertised in getting me to sleep a little bit faster. But I did have a lot of side effects the next day: grogginess, brain fog, slow. And, I just kind of dealt with those side effects for a long time. And then about 8 years into that, I met my current husband. My new boyfriend at the time, he said to me in a very loving way, when you take these pills, you kind of act like a zombie, and it freaks me out a little bit. So that was like, whoa, a wake-up call. It was at that point that I decided, hey, I think it's time to stop these pills. So I did what I don't recommend other people doing if they're on any medication. I went, I guess, quote, rogue, and decided to taper myself back without asking my provider for directions on how to do so. Fortunately for me, I was able to weather through it, and I was finally free from the sleeping pills after a while. And I slept fine for many years after that. Then in March of 2020, there was a plot twist, and we were all collectively involved in that plot twist. The very beginning days of the pandemic, when nobody knew what was going on, my sleep started to tank again. And I was very worried. I did not want to go down that insomnia spiral once again. So I decided to be very proactive. I got online and started researching sleep. I got an Oura ring to track my sleep. And in pretty short order, I was able to get my sleep back on track. And what I was just doing as sort of like a hey, I'm finding out new stuff, I went on Facebook and shared what I was doing organically with friends. And I came to find out that during that time, a lot of other people were struggling with their sleep, and they were finding my tips very useful. And so late in 2020, I got this revelation like, oh my gosh, a lot of people are struggling with their sleep. You probably should help them. And that's kind of how the whole business got started, really just from my own, personal struggle, and then just real deep interest in the topic of sleep. So that's the story.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing it. And so what are like the most common things that people struggle with when it comes to sleep? We have diet, we have our nutrition, we have the time we go to sleep. What are some of the most common things that you see?
Yeah, well, there are a plethora of reasons, but in my own practice, what I see most, I would say, is probably anxiety and stress driving the sleep problem. So there's sort of like two different angles on that. There's anxiety and stress about daily life, about people's situations, either with their family or their job, that can keep them awake at night. And then there's this other sort of side of anxiety, and that is called sleep anxiety. And that's when actually you become very worried about not being able to sleep. So there's that level of anxiety. And then also mixed into that, I think for a lot of people who I see, it's circadian disruption. And what I mean by that is their circadian rhythm is a little bit dysregulated. And the sort of the root cause of that tends to be mismanagement of light and dark. So they're getting a lot of bright lights at night, a lot of blue lights in the evening, and they're not getting enough brightness during the day with natural light. So their circadian rhythm becomes somewhat disrupted. So those are really like the main things that I see, but there are definitely other things that can contribute to insomnia, such as poor diet, lack of movement. So the list is pretty endless. Also, we have, particular drugs that I was recently working with a breast cancer survivor. She comes to mind. She was taking a cancer drug during her recovery, and come to find out that was one of the contributing causes of her sleep disruption. So her physician, not me, asked her to go on something different, which helped her situation quite a bit.
Why are more women specifically vulnerable to insomnia?
Yeah. So we're about twice as likely to develop insomnia as men. And there are a few reasons why. Number one is hormonal issues. From the time we're teenagers to menopause, our hormones are in flux. And second reason I would say is mental health issues. Women tend to be more prone to anxiety and depression, which leaves us more vulnerable to insomnia. And then I think probably the third reason would be cultural reasons. So what I mean by that is women wear a lot of hats in our world. And I tend to see a lot of women who are in their midlife years. And at that point in our lives, we often are dealing with a lot of competing demands. Sometimes this is referred to as the sandwich generation, because on one hand, we have potentially children at home that we're responsible for. We have a busy, demanding job. Maybe we're at the top of our career our field and what we're doing for work. And then we also may have aging parents who need some kind of support and assistance from us. So all of those competing demands create this sort of stage that's ripe for more stress and anxiety.
Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app, available on iOS and Android today.